When my husband proposed divorce for the 8th time, I nodded in agreement. His family rejoiced wildly, nearly setting off firecrackers in celebration. My natal family dispatched 108 matrons to inventory the dowry. I smiled faintly. This position? Let whoever wants it have it. I have my silver and wealth, what can't I do? Why should I be confined to this little courtyard, waiting for death? You're a woman. How can you be out in public all day? What kind of example is that? My husband, Lu Chengyin, the second son of the Marquis of Jinbei, circled around me as I fiddled with the abacus, berating me relentlessly. His lips moved, and he certainly could talk a good game. Who in the capital didn't know the Jinbei Marquis' household lived off the second mistress's dowry? Divorce. We divorce today. I looked up at him with contempt. What a weakling. Which eye of mine had ever found him pleasing? Fine. Write it up. We'll go to the magistrate's office today. After saying this, I returned to my ledger. When it came to money, what did a man matter? Less than a year into our marriage, this was his 8th demand for divorce. Half the time it was his rogue friends egging him on, half the time it was his mistresses whispering sweet nothings in his ear. It was time to leave. If I didn't go soon, he'd squander every last penny. You agreed? His eyes widened in disbelief, his speech stumbling. What's all this fuss? A man of honor keeps his word. I flung the ledger at him. Furious, he stomped his foot and shouted, I'll summon the clan elder to preside. You'd better be ready. Fine by me. While the old matriarch, cunning as a fox, is away at the temple, we'll finalize the divorce quickly. Better to act now than risk complications later. Miss, you just agreed to the divorce so easily? What a bargain for the Lu family. The head maid lamented the dowry I'd forfeited. I sighed. Silly girl, if I hadn't divorced him, I'd have no place to be buried. Days ago, I had a dream. In it, I refused to divorce, blocking someone's path, and was ultimately killed. In that dream, I refused divorce for the family's sake. I didn't want the He family to have a divorced daughter returning home, fearing the scandal. Little did I know that Lin Miao, Lu Chenyin's mistress, had become pregnant. She refused to be a concubine, so only after my death could she ascend. Everything in that dream has come true recently, leaving me no choice but to believe it. When Lu Chengyin proposed divorce today, I agreed immediately. I had to flee fast. When lives are at stake, who cares about etiquette and conventions? I married Lu Er in the first place because during the war, my father supplied the northern frontier Marquis with ample military provisions. The Marquis could fight without worry, and my father's contribution was invaluable. This forged a deep bond between them, leading to my marriage contract. Alas, Lu Er proved utterly clueless, and the Lu household was filled with donkey dung eggs, glittering on the surface, filthy within. I dispatched my guards to fetch my younger brother, who served in the 5th prince's residence. Divorce is no trivial matter, yet in the northern frontier Marquis' household, everyone except the old lady and the Marquis himself despised me as a merchant's daughter, a disgrace to their name. The moment Lu Chengyin mentioned divorce, the household's masters nodded in agreement, practically ready to set off firecrackers in celebration. Now, with neither the Marquis nor the old lady present, there was no one to stand in my way. Heaven, earth, and man aligned, divine providence was on my side. My younger brother arrived swiftly, throwing himself onto me like a whirlwind and weeping uncontrollably. It's all my fault, sister. I've caused you such suffering. I stroked his back to comfort him, just as I did when we were children. We've lost nothing but wealth, and wealth is the last thing I lack. My brother muttered gloomily, a woman's virtue is paramount. I slapped him hard across the face. Where did he pick up such filthy words? We observed mourning for our grandmother and never consummated our marriage. I married him during the mourning period after grandmother passed. If not for the mourning, how could Lu Qingyin have taken a concubine so soon? Sister, you and grandmother weren't close. This foolish boy. A wise person sees through things without saying them. This is merely an excuse. I never intended to bear Lu Qingyin's children. My child couldn't possibly be that fool Lu Qingyin's seed. Thankfully, my second brother was wise. He brought officers from the prefectural governor's office and officials from the fifth prince's residence. He even brought over 100 maidservants to inventory my dowry, turning the entire household upside down. Second son's wife. You show no respect for your elders. My dim-witted mother-in-law pointed at me and hurled insults. No wonder she was furious. The maids she sent into her quarters were ruthless. They snatched away even the Xiangfei bamboo screens from my dowry, let alone the antiques and calligraphy openly displayed. Are you planning to embezzle my elder sister's dowry too, madam? My brother never minced words. Seeing how she treated me, he fired back immediately. The northern frontier marquis's wife was utterly speechless at his retort, clutching her chest in fury without uttering a word. My little brother switched to full-on verbal assault mode. Whoever crossed me, he took them on. Amidst the commotion, Lu Qingyin summoned the Lu clan patriarch. The patriarch, though aged, was far from senile. He refused to relinquish this gold mine of a daughter-in-law. Second son's wife, you must think carefully. A woman who divorces and returns home won't have an easy life. I'll teach this brat a lesson. Just as I was about to bribe the old clan leader with silver notes, my brother produced the guarantee letter written by the Marquis of Jinbei on our wedding day. It was the northern frontier marquis's pledge to my father. Should Lu Qingyin ever waver, I could dispose of him as I saw fit. Only then did everyone learn that the northern frontier marquis had written this guarantee to my father, which was why I had entered the marquis's household. Lu Qingyin's jaw dropped, utterly stunned by this revelation. I won't pursue the matter of the lost dowry. From this day forward, our two families shall have no further ties. Once the divorce papers were drawn up and stamped with the official seal, my ties to the Lu family were severed. The smooth dissolution of the marriage owed much to my younger brother's prior arrangements with the authorities. I'd finally experienced firsthand how having connections in the court made things easier. Sister, those parasites in the Lu family were quite the joke, my younger brother said cheerfully. Now you can do whatever you wish. I'll back you up in everything. Sister, why aren't you speaking? My thoughts were elsewhere, on whether my brother's betrothed might despise me. Just days ago, my mind was consumed with how to save my own life. I hadn't considered such things. I wonder what my future sister-in-law will think. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Who cares what she thinks? I never wanted to marry a Qi family girl anyway, they're far too petty. If father hadn't insisted one must know how to repay kindness, I never would have agreed. And Qi Li hasn't exactly been short on father's favors, yet he still had to sacrifice my marriage. This last sentence was muttered under his breath. Fortunately, his parents weren't in the capital. Had they heard him speak thus, a beating would have been inevitable. His future sister-in-law was the eldest daughter of the Qi family, official serving the fifth prince's household. She had been pampered since childhood. Father had amassed great wealth in his lifetime, yet his greatest wish was for his descendants to hold office and serve the people. At that time, minor official positions were available for purchase, with the imperial court setting clear prices. But father disdained buying an office, saying a purchased position was of little use. It was then that the Qi family entered the picture. Magistrate Qi recommended my younger brother as a minor attendant in the fifth prince's household. Quick-witted and backed by immense wealth, my brother soon earned the fifth prince's trust and became a trusted aide. Grateful for Magistrate Qi's assistance, my father arranged a betrothal between my brother and the Qi family's eldest daughter. Don't overthink it. If she looks down on you, she looks down on me. I'll never marry her. He pounded his chest in assurance, but I didn't want my brother to become a man who broke his word. When I received an invitation from my future sister-in-law to burn incense at the temple, I was still marveling at how thoughtful it was. After my brother found out, he insisted on accompanying me to the temple. He even insisted on dressing as a guard to follow me. I assumed he was too shy to meet his future sister-in-laws himself, so I agreed. Autumn winds howled, leaves swirled, and the temple grounds held more sweeping monks than worshippers. "Sister He, I'm here." A sweet, girlish voice called from behind, my future sister-in-law. "Chi, are you well?" I paused, waiting for her to approach. "Sister He, come, let's offer incense together." She linked her arm through mine, and we chatted cheerfully all the way. After offering incense, we gathered around a brazier in the temple's guest quarters. "Sister He, I made these pouches. I wanted to give them to you." The young girl's cheeks were rosy from the warmth of the brazier. She motioned to her attendant to present 2 pouches, one clearly designed for a man. She intended to give it to my younger brother through me. I accepted it with a smile, then excused myself to step outside. I planned to let my brother see her alone. They were betrothed, and private meetings were tacitly approved by their elders. Yet within a quarter hour, Adi stormed to me, grabbed my hand, and strode away. "Sister, cease all contact with that woman. A woman's heart is the most treacherous thing." I knew nothing of what had transpired between them so quickly and was taken aback. "Ask no questions. Return to the manor." Adi took the reins from the coachman and cracked the whip, driving off. The carriage jerked to a halt, nearly flinging me from the seat. I lifted the curtain to demand what had happened. My gaze locked with a servant in the carriage opposite, a retainer of the Liu family matriarch. "What's going on?" The curtain opposite parted, revealing the Liu matriarch's personal matron. "Second young madam, why are you out alone?" The matriarch of the Liu family, who had been outside praying, had returned to the manor. Presumably, no one dared write to inform her that I had already divorced Liu Chengyin. "Old woman, don't talk nonsense. My elder sister has divorced the second young master Liu. You have no right to call me second young madam." Adi tugged on the reins and turned the carriage around. Back at the manor, my younger brother wasted no time. Furious, he penned 10 letters, each containing only 2 words: "Annul the engagement." He ordered them dispatched by the fastest horses to our father. "By offending Miss Chi so grievously, aren't you afraid your future father-in-law will make life miserable for you before the 5th prince?" My brother looked at me with an expression that screamed, "You're an idiot. Chi Li is nowhere near as favored by the 5th prince as I am. I'm the 5th prince's treasury." The boast was audacious, yet undeniably true. "Stop overthinking, sister. With our parents absent from the capital, I'm your sole protector. I won't let you suffer the slightest injustice." I trusted his words. After all, Liu Chengyin had stopped frequenting brothels after his marriage, all thanks to brother Liu. He earned his reputation across the capital for beating his brother-in-law senseless every time they met, until the man dared not stray again. Lady Liu's calling card arrived promptly at our residence, announcing her visit the following day. The matriarch entered, supported by her matron, with Liu Chengyin limping behind her. "It is this young man who has wronged you, betraying your sincere devotion." Lady Liu spoke with heartfelt sincerity. "Grandmother, how can the esteemed Marquis of Jinbei bow to a lowly merchant family and admit fault?" Liu Chengyin couldn't bear seeing his influential grandmother speak softly before me. I found it somewhat amusing. Liu Err still hadn't grasped the situation. "Silence, you wretched fool." Lady Liu shot him a piercing glare and rebuked him harshly. She then turned to me with gentle reassurance. "I've already had my people keep an eye on his concubine. Zhuer, come back to the mansion with me. I'll handle this properly." Her tone was as soft as the words were sharp. To those in power, commoners are no different from ants. "Grandmother, have you lost your mind? Miao Miao is carrying your great-grandchild. That is the first young heir of the Liu family." Liu Chengyin, blocked by guards, couldn't approach. He glared fiercely at me as he spoke. I knew she carried the child of destiny. I couldn't become the sinner who wronged Lin Miao Miao for no reason. Grandmother, my divorce from second young Master Lu will not affect father's relationship with the Marquis of Jinbei. The old lady understood my meaning. She held my hand and sighed heavily for a while. Seeing I remained unmoved and having secured my promise, she finally had Lu Chenin escorted away. Her visit wasn't truly about wanting me to be with second young Master Lu. It was to ensure my divorce from him wouldn't disrupt father's supply deliveries to the Marquis of the Northern Frontier. All insincere. I've seen through the Lu family's true colors. The Lu family's greed is truly revolting. My younger brother ordered the teacup the old lady had used discarded, then had the room cleaned 3 times over, claiming he couldn't bear the sight of dirt. With the enemy nation invading and the Marquis of Jinbei gravely wounded, the Lu family intended to send the Marquis's heir to lead reinforcements. The matriarch, needing funds, sent another invitation. If the emperor truly wanted the Northern Frontier Marquis's heir to go, he would have issued an imperial decree long ago. Before I could refuse, father returned just in time, bringing with him a tall, robust man. He claimed this man was a descendant of the founding general, skilled in unconventional warfare. This man possesses great talent. Father introduced him to the 5th prince, who was so impressed he immediately recommended him to the emperor. The emperor had been deliberating whether to send the Marquis's heir to reinforce the border. This man's arrival solved his urgent need. After several tests, the man who had been a commoner yesterday was promoted to a 3rd-rank general today, tasked with leading troops to reinforce the border. As for why the emperor didn't use the Marquis of the North's heir? It was simply the ruler's deep-seated suspicion, unwilling to let the Marquis of the North's family grow too powerful. It's good you divorced Lu heir. Aside from the Marquis, his entire family is a bunch of good-for-nothings. Father finished his work, fingering the knuckle ring on his finger with a deep, knowing smile. As for your younger brother's request, I must give it serious thought. What is there to consider? Before the wedding even takes place, he's already scheming to divorce and claim his elder sister-in-law's dowry. I can't afford such a bride. Mother quietly followed father, grabbed his ear, and began yelling. I have only 1 son and 1 daughter. I cannot bear to see either of them bullied. My dear, you are absolutely right. It is my fault, my fault. In front of our child, please let go. Father quickly admitted his mistake, covering his ear, now red from mother's tugging. Find a reason to call it off quickly. I want to live a few more years. Mother was straightforward and easygoing, disdaining pretentious people. With the nation in crisis, father was busy transporting supplies to the border. They put my younger brother's marriage on hold until that task was finished. Mother couldn't sit still at home. She asked me to accompany her out to inspect the shops. The tea and pastries in the inner room of my high-end tailor shop were excellent. When mother grew tired from shopping, she stayed with me there to sip tea. We were enjoying our refreshments when someone closed the door of the adjacent fitting room, making a sound. Mother, what do you think the He family is up to, scattering money like this? I recognized the familiar voice. It belonged to my future sister-in-law. The words came out sounding petty and small-minded. Exactly. That money will all be my grandchildren someday, and they're squandering it like this. Father sends supplies to the border defenses, you call that wasteful? Once the city falls, will it suddenly become worthwhile? When the people are displaced, no amount of money will be enough to satisfy the looting. The He family truly proves the saying, when the upper beam is crooked, the lower beams follow suit. You'll have to keep a close eye on that He family boy, so he doesn't turn out like his father. I glanced sideways to see mother's fists clenched tight. She was on the verge of anger. I quickly held her back as she tried to storm out, urging her to listen further. Mother, what are you saying? I haven't even married into that family yet. I hear this is He Shinju's dowry shop. It's truly lavish. It's just a worthless scrap of cloth from a divorce settlement. Won't all this be yours someday? Don't be so easily dazzled now. You must carry yourself with dignity and grace. I know, mother. That day at the temple, she left without a word. Don't be angry. For the sake of the dowry, you must treat her well. After that day, I wrote to ask her why, but she never replied. My future sister-in-law sounded quite aggrieved. Letters? What letters? My brother probably had them disposed of. I truly know nothing of this. Seems my brother overheard genuine thoughts that day, just as he did today. The mother and daughter were still talking when a loud knocking echoed from the next room. You two gossiping behind people's backs, could you please lower your voices? You're disturbing my young mistress's peace. The voice carried arrogance laced with mockery. No reply came from across the hall. After a moment, the door next door opened, and footsteps faded into the distance. Once all sounds ceased, Mother slammed her fist onto the table, splitting it clean in two. Who would have thought the Chi family harbored such intentions? Their hearts deserve punishment. Mother, don't be angry. Anger harms the body, anger harms the body. I hurriedly wrapped a handkerchief around Mother's bleeding fingers. That punch had left her knuckles covered in beads of blood. You're the useless one. I should have shamed them both right then and there. Mother, Father hasn't formally called off the engagement yet. Wait until he finishes his business. Why should I get angry? Getting angry only benefits others. Besides, we were already planning to break off the engagement with the Chi family. It's not worth getting worked up over. Busy? I'll see just how busy he is. Without another word, Mother took several of her personal maids and went to fetch Father home. I had no choice but to follow her, comforting her all the way, urging her not to ruin her health over this. It simply wasn't worth it. The Chi family harbors such wolfish ambitions. Never imagined I'd misjudge someone in my lifetime. After hearing Mother's accusations, Father bitterly regretted his decision. You never saw eye to eye with them. Mother retorted sharply, laying bare his shortcomings. My lady is absolutely right, absolutely right. I'll go find that old man Chi and call off this engagement. A woman's virtue was paramount in those days. Father had hoped to spare the Chi family's face by letting them find a reason to withdraw the match. But the Chi family was determined to bind the He family to them forever. Magistrate Chi flatly refused. Since the betrothal, the once poor Chi family had grown considerably wealthier. In the end, my younger brother persuaded the fifth prince to act as mediator. Through threats and inducements, the Chi family finally relented. To protect the girl's reputation, they publicly claimed a venerable monk who had attained enlightenment through sitting meditation had declared the couple's birth charts incompatible. This allowed them to successfully annul the engagement. They got off far too easily. My younger brother paced, seething with indignation. If we could call it off, so be it. After all, the Chis hold official positions, while your father here is merely a lowly merchant. Father reclined in his lounge chair, utterly at ease. Indeed, such is the way of the world, unchangeable. 30,000 taels. My 30,000 taels of silver. Little brother seethed with anger and frustration. That 30,000 taels was meant for the fifth prince's emissary's expenses. Money buys peace of mind, money buys peace of mind. For a moment, I couldn't tell if it was the Chi family's excessive demands that had angered him, or the sheer amount of money spent that had pained him. It's all Father's fault. What kind of judgment is that? My younger brother ran to Mother's side, whining like a child, shedding all traces of his usual composed demeanor. Enough. Mother will give you this silver. Mother couldn't bear to see him like this. Only then did he beam with joy, hurrying off to attend to his own affairs. Father donated the majority of our family's assets to avoid delays. He personally led a convoy to the frontier, determined to deliver these supplies without delay. 3 months later, triumphant news arrived from the frontier. The enemy had been vanquished, and the army would return to the capital shortly. The emperor was overjoyed, bestowing upon the younger brother a low-ranking, ceremonial post in the Ministry of Revenue. Father, fresh from the frontier, grinned ear to ear these past few days. A 3-day banquet was held, celebrating the He family's long-awaited elevation to officialdom, a change of fortune in the younger brother's generation. I, He, have not disgraced our ancestors. My father bellowed drunkenly before passing into a deep, boozy sleep. My mother, her eyes brimming with tears, murmured, "What a blessing! What a blessing!" My father had always dreamed of becoming an official. Everyone in the family knew this. Yet what he often told me and my younger brother was, only when the nation is secure can the family prosper. Before, when mother worried about father at the frontier, she, who never believed in Buddhism, had eaten vegetarian meals and chanted sutras at home for many days. The war is finally over. My mouth is so dry even water tastes sweet. Sure, come on, let's go out for a feast. Mother pulled me along to dine out. We chose the restaurant above my dowry shop. Why, isn't this my second elder sister-in-law? The voice was shrill and oddly familiar. I glanced back to see the fourth daughter of the Liu family, born to a concubine, accompanied by a heavily pregnant woman. What is it? Second elder sister-in-law, might we speak privately in a private room? Mother saw I hadn't gone upstairs and sent a maid to find me. Noticing the diners staring at us, I motioned for them to go ahead. His ears flushed crimson, and he sounded uncertain. Shouldn't she have looked away shyly after our eyes met? She just seemed a bit awkward. His words left me baffled. Maybe she just wanted to see what you look like. She never acted like this before. My brother stated this with certainty. All right, so they must be old acquaintances. But my brother had barely ventured beyond our own manor and the fifth prince's residence. If they knew each other before, the fifth prince's residence had strict rules. No maid would dare act so boldly. Eliminating possibilities left only Princess Bao Kong, who frequently visited the fifth prince's residence. Could this kid have had such an opportunity? Rumor had it Princess Bao Kong was notoriously arrogant, wielding her whip with fierce authority, a formidable figure. You wouldn't happen to have feelings for her? I probed my younger brother cautiously. After all, she was a princess, far beyond our station. Not at all, sister. How could I dare? She's simply different. His face flushed crimson. Not daring to covet? I saw he dared all too well, though his heart was bold while his courage faltered. Brother, I speak not out of self-deprecation. You must understand the importance of matching social standing. I lectured him earnestly, unwilling to see him drive himself into a dead end. I know, sister. I'll go handle things now. With that, my brother slunk away, his retreating figure desolate. When I happened upon Princess Bao Kong, she was lashing a beggar kneeling on the ground. The whip struck the empty earth around the beggar, kicking up dust. Onlookers pointed and whispered. My mother and I drew closer to hear her curse as she lashed the ground. You worthless scum. Hand over this lady's purse at once, or I'll whip you senseless and turn you over to the authorities. The beggar knelt begging for mercy, trapped by the princess's guards with no escape. A maid, handkerchief pressed to her nose, stripped the beggar down to his undergarments and retrieved the hidden purse. Young lady, how can you lash people so recklessly? Indeed. Such a fierce temper will make it hard to find a husband. Stripping someone naked in public? Shame on you. The crowd transformed into righteous warriors, all condemning Princess Bao Kong. He clearly stole the young lady's purse. Are you all blind? Besides, she was only scaring him, she didn't even hit him. Anyang couldn't stand by silently and spoke up loudly. Princess Bao Kong glanced toward Mother, a smile in her eyes. Thank you, Auntie, for speaking up for me. With that, she sheathed her whip and left. Mother had never met Princess Baokong before, she wasn't qualified to. She'd simply spoken out of righteousness. I had attended the palace banquet with Lady Lu and had the honor of meeting Princess Baokong, which is how I recognized her. A carriage pulled up nearby. Glancing sideways, I saw the female lead, Lin Miaomiao, step out. Lin Miaomiao approached the princess, attempting to curry favor. But Princess Baokong rolled her eyes, signaling her guards to block Lin Miaomiao. She strode away. Today, the city gates stood wide open to welcome the triumphant soldiers home. Gongs and drums resounded as the army returned, the entire populace celebrating. Leading the procession was the man father had brought back, tall and imposing, with dark skin and an aura of stern authority radiating from him. "It's Ayun, daughter. Ayun is leading the way." Mother cheered, unable to contain her excitement. Just as I wondered why the Northern Marquis wasn't leading the charge, a carriage appeared behind the man. The curtain lifted to reveal the Northern Marquis seated inside, his chest bound in gauze, his expression grave. The Northern Marquis. He's quite badly injured. After the festivities, the Emperor bestowed edicts one after another. Our household alone received 2. Ayuns were all rewards, no promotion. Another edict came as a surprise, my father was granted the title of Baron. Overjoyed, he fainted on the spot. This was earned by sacrificing most of our family fortune and his own safety. It was worth it. Mother instructed my younger brother to enshrine the edict in the ancestral hall. Our He family ancestors must know this is an honor bestowed by heaven. Changing our family name, finally, we no longer rely solely on my younger brother. Yet panic gripped my heart, this was a scene from my dream. In that dream, days later, the Marquis of Jinbei would bring Lu Chenin to our home to bear a bundle of thorns and beg forgiveness. After 3 days, father agreed to let me return to the Lu household. Soon after, disaster struck the He family, not a single soul survived. Even the Marquis of Jinan, who had summoned me back, would perish from an infected wound. This time, father hosted a 3-day banquet. On the 3rd day, the wounded Marquis of Jinan arrived with Lu Chenin in tow. "Brother He, my son has erred. I bring him here to atone. I beg your forgiveness." With that, the Marquis of Jinbei kicked Lu Chenin squarely in the knee, forcing him to his knees. Kneeling, Lu Chenin's face darkened with fury, yet he dared not disobey his father's command. Father, mother, and I exchanged glances. Last night, I had already told them about the events in my dream. At the time, they couldn't believe it. Now, they had no choice but to believe. "Brother Lu, this is unthinkable. Unthinkable. Quickly, help second young Master Lu up." Father instructed the attendant beside him to lift Lu Chenin. "Let him kneel. Such a wicked son. If I hadn't kept him alive to beg your forgiveness, I'd have beaten him so badly he couldn't get out of bed." Lu Chenin was still helped up by the servant, but his mouth remained stubborn. "No need for your false kindness. Is your He family daughter so unwanted that she must cling to me like this? Wicked son. Kneel." The Marquis of Northern Frontier flew into a rage, snatching a teacup from the table and hurling it at him. A fine piece of green jade, that cup, it hurt me to see it smashed. Father knew of my dream, so naturally he wouldn't let the Northern Frontier Marquis scold Lu Chenin in our home. He had my younger brother take Lu Chenin downstairs to rest while he spoke privately with the Marquis. After a cup of tea, the Marquis took his leave with a hint of joy. "The Northern Frontier Marquis wishes to adopt you as his daughter." Father's words were startling, so he and mother had spent the entire night devising this scheme. But I didn't want this. I wanted to stay far away from Lin Miaomiao. "A temporary solution," father murmured, stroking his beard. Then, as if remembering something, he added, "By the way, Uncle Fu, clear out a courtyard in the front yard. Ayun will be staying with us for a while." "Understood." Uncle Fu, the steward, acknowledged the order and departed. Only then did I learn that the commanding general was Iyun, father's sworn brother. Persuading your uncle cost your father a pretty penny back then. Mother chuckled softly as she explained the whole affair. It turned out the Marquis of Jinbei had invited father to persuade Uncle Yun. The Marquis revealed that Uncle Yun was the posthumous son of his deputy commander and asked father to test him for potential service. He added that the border was in peril and urged father to persuade Uncle Yun quickly if he proved capable. When father found Uncle Yun, he was a notorious bandit chief, robbing the rich to aid the poor, never harming anyone. The people said he never lost a battle. His men moved like ghosts, striking decisively in a single move, making them impossible for the authorities to catch. Father went to persuade him personally, got robbed several times, and then just refused to leave. Uncle Yun had no choice but to put him up and feed him. Father spent his free time persuading Uncle Yun. With his innate sense of justice and the chance to walk the righteous path, Uncle Yun pondered long and hard before finally agreeing. Father set up an altar. Under the moonlight, the two swore an oath, becoming sworn brothers. On the journey back to the capital, father told others that Uncle Yun was a descendant of General Niang, the founding general of the dynasty. This was why the emperor held him in such high regard. The journey proceeded smoothly. Father provided ample supplies, ensuring the soldiers faced no hardships and fought with fierce courage. The battle unfolded decisively. Alas, heaven does not favor man's wishes. Uncle Yun's humble origins proved his downfall. My heart lurched. The Uncle Yun of my dreams lay in a prison cart, beaten to the brink of death. It seemed they were implying he was born a bandit. How could such a man be worthy of a general's rank? Father, I have something to say. My bloodless face startled father. He approached me with a flustered look, leaning in to hear my whisper. After listening, he staggered out the door, nearly tripping over the threshold. Soon after, a maid informed us father and Uncle Yun had gone to the fifth prince's residence. This was treason, no wonder we were to die. So that was it. Within moments, the third imperial edict arrived at our residence. It declared Uncle Yun had voluntarily relinquished all his posts. The emperor, unwilling to let such talent go to waste, had granted him a baronage, without title or fief. Zhuer, you truly are our family's lucky star. Father, having narrowly escaped death, wiped the cold sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. This is all thanks to Princess Baokong. Had she not happened to seek an audience with the emperor, your Uncle Yun would have paid dearly, if not with his life, then certainly with severe punishment. How did Princess Baokong get involved in this? The princess's magnanimity is my good fortune. Uncle Yun smiled with open-hearted grace. Recently, two major events shook the Northern Frontier Marquis' household. The Marquis of Northern Frontier, my new foster father, passed away. The imperial physician attributed his death to an infected wound that proved fatal. On the same day, the Marquis' heir was found dead in a concubine's chamber. The household lost both pillars simultaneously. The elderly matriarch, mourning her son while still alive, fainted and now clings to life on ginseng broth. By tradition, Lu heir should have inherited the Northern Frontier Marquis title. Yet news broke that the heir's wife was 2 months pregnant, severing Lu heir's path to nobility. The heir's wife was taken back by her family to rest. If it's a boy, he will be the future Northern Frontier Marquis. When father and I went to pay our respects, Lin Miao Miao, nearing her due date, came out to greet us. She paused upon seeing me before instructing servants to lead us inside. The Northern Frontier Marquis' residence, where I'd lived for a year, was now draped entirely in white, its halls filled with wails of grief. Lu Qingyi knelt before the memorial altar, silent. Go offer incense for your foster father. Father, his eyes glistening, wiped away tears with a handkerchief. He and the Marquis had been true, lifelong friends. Tell me, did I do wrong? If I had disobeyed father less, would he still be lying here? Lu Qingyi's voice cracked dryly the moment he saw me. May 2nd. Young Master Lu henceforth mend his ways, diligently manage the northern frontier Marquis estate, and never trample upon the illustrious military achievements established by the Marquis himself. He and I had never spoken so calmly before. His marriage to me was forced by the Marquis of Jinbei, my marriage to him was father's way of elevating me above commoners. I refused to share his bed under the pretext of mourning, and he was quite content, no longer seeking me out. Why dwell on it? Had it not been for that dream, I would have perished long ago. Instead of worrying about Lu Qingyin, I'd rather focus on living well myself. After the northern frontier Marquis' burial, father, mother, and Uncle Yin left the capital to travel. They said they wanted to see more of the magnificent landscapes while they still could. Uncle Yun's brothers who came to the capital were still in the army. The emperor, upon learning their true identities, did not punish them. Uncle Yin said this was the best possible outcome. Lin Miaomiao handed me a calling card, requesting a visit. A widow should not casually enter another household, but she held too many mysteries. I had her brought to the tavern instead. After dismissing the attendants, Lin Miaomiao's usually gentle face twisted. Are you a time traveler? Or reborn? Why? Why are you still alive? Lin Miaomiao stroked her rounded belly, consumed by rage. None of what you say is true. I answered sincerely. Then how did you evade death twice? The first time could be called an accident, but the second, what gave you the right? Why should I tell you? I lifted my teacup and sipped. Impossible. Impossible. System, show yourself. Lin Miaomiao was nearly delirious, muttering incomprehensible words. She rambled to herself about how she'd successfully won over the male lead, yet her points still weren't enough. She claimed she'd set up scenarios for my death, but none had succeeded. She even ranted about why she couldn't steal my fortune. I sent my personal maid to fetch Lu Qingyin. I couldn't have Lin Miaomiao causing trouble in my inn. Lu Qingyin escorted Lin Miaomiao out with 2 maidservants, bowing deeply to me in apology before leaving. I didn't press the matter, merely instructing him to keep his household in order. In the 3rd month of spring, Princess Baokong invited me for a lake excursion. Her invitation was too gracious to decline. As our boat glided across the lake, the shores burst with spring vitality. Sister He, I asked you here today to share something important. This is first-hand intelligence brought by our secret guards. Qiu Ju, you tell Sister He. A maid stepped forward from behind the princess and began her vivid account. It had happened just yesterday. Lin Miaomiao had given birth to a boy. The moment she laid eyes on him, she strangled him to death. Then she began muttering to herself. She cursed Lu Qingyin as a coward. She used every last bit of her so-called points to eliminate the old Marquis and the heir apparent, yet Lu Qingyin hadn't even secured a Marquis title. Because of him, she couldn't bear the son destined for great fortune. She claimed that if some system hadn't malfunctioned, she'd never still be stuck here. She also declared choosing Lu Qingyin as the male lead was the worst luck she'd ever had. She said every nasty thing imaginable. At one point, she mentioned me, saying I deserved to die. If I were dead, she'd surely succeed. She regretted not killing me. She declared that winning Lu Qingyin's heart was her mission. If he became Marquis, she could bear the destined heir and return home. She threw around all sorts of new terms I'd never heard before. When Lu Qingyin arrived, he found the lifeless infant and Lin Miaomiao talking to herself. When Lu Qingyin heard Lin Miaomiao confess she'd used her schemes to kill the old Marquis and the heir, his rage boiled over. He slashed her throat with a dagger, blood spattered 3 feet high, and Lin Miaomiao died instantly. Sister He, it's a good thing you divorced Lu heir. I didn't smile, knowing Princess Baokong was merely listening for amusement, while the events of my dream played vividly before my eyes. Thanks to the dream's warning, I found a way to survive. Things are fine now. Unconsciously, 2 clear tears fell, mourning the me who had never known such dreams. The scorching heat was unbearable. This year's drought was severe, leaving many regions with no harvest at all. Her Majesty the Empress led the fundraising efforts, but it was but a drop in the bucket. When Princess Baokong saw me, her face was full of worry. I possessed little else, but wealth was something I could never exhaust. With a generous gesture, I allocated 70% of my available funds, half to the princess and half to my younger brother for purchasing supplies. Upon learning of this, Her Majesty the Empress summoned me personally to the palace. "Miss He, your noble deed shall be rewarded." With those light words from the Empress, another imperial decree arrived at my home. I became the Lady of Jianan Township, a title with an estate and fiefdom. I felt little about it. After facing death twice in my dreams, worldly possessions held little weight for me. My younger brother, however, was so overjoyed he couldn't sleep, knocking on my door at least 10 times that night. Each time I opened it, he'd bow and say, "Greetings to the Lady of Jianan," then dash off. Finally, I just left the door open. He still knocked and paid his respects. I was tempted to knock him out. His swagger lasted only until the next day, when the emperor ordered him to accompany the left vice minister of revenue to distribute grain and supplies. The result of his sleepless night? He rode on the same horse as the soldiers. Fearing my sleepy little brother might fall off, the soldiers held him tightly, a sight so comical. The onlookers whispered among themselves. A month later, my brother returned, gaunt and sallow, riding a horse. Mother was heartbroken to see him back from his journey, fussing over him daily with all sorts of restorative meals. My brother grinned triumphantly, "Sister, I've got an unexpected windfall, the Qi family is finished." Evidence proved Magistrate Qi had embezzled tens of thousands of taels meant for disaster relief. The emperor was furious and ordered his entire clan executed. The reason was simple: the banknotes I donated bore subtle markings. Half of those seized from Qi's residence matched mine. Combined with the evidence my brother gathered, the Qi family had no defense. Serves them right. That clan was always obsessed with keeping up appearances. With no real foundation, petty corruption might have been forgiven, but embezzling disaster relief funds? Unforgivable. I was puzzled. Wasn't the Qi family affiliated with the fifth prince's household? My younger brother cleared his throat and leaned close to whisper in my ear, "He switched allegiance to the second prince long ago. This affair is almost certainly connected to the second prince." Fortunately, my younger brother and the Qi family had long since broken off their betrothal. You see? The winds of change are coming. The emperor was growing old. The first crown prince had died young. The current empress was a second wife, bearing only the fifth prince. Above the fifth prince, only the second prince remained alive. The second prince was the eldest, while the fifth prince was the legitimate heir. Their abilities were evenly matched, and the emperor watched them fight from the sidelines. This time, the second prince had touched the emperor's sore spot. Days later, an imperial edict swept through the capital. The fifth prince was named crown prince. The second prince was in theft as Prince Rui of Lu, ordered to depart for his fiefdom within 3 days without delay. My younger brother rose with the tide. As one of the crown prince's earliest followers, deeply trusted by him, and having played a major role in the disaster relief efforts, he was promoted 3 ranks at once to 5th grade. What astonished me most was discovering he had been exchanging letters with Princess Baokong. It turned out that during the month my brother led the relief effort, Princess Baokong had disguised herself as a soldier and joined the mission. No wonder she hadn't sent me an invitation that month. She'd been off aiding the disaster relief. Half a year later, Mother was preoccupied with arranging my marriage and my brother's when an imperial edict arrived, striking her like a thunderbolt. The emperor had bestowed a marriage for my younger brother. The bride-to-be was Princess Baokong. Mother scrambled frantically to prepare for my brother's wedding. Seeing her so preoccupied she'd forgotten about me, I didn't remind her. When a princess marries, every detail of the ceremony is arranged by the palace. The groom need only bathe and be ready to receive his bride. Father beamed at everyone he met, utterly overjoyed. During his travels, Uncle Yin found me a young wife. She is now with child, and the two live in the neighboring mansion, inseparable. As for me, I plan to set out on a long journey after my younger brother's wedding, taking Silver, my maidservant, and guards with me. Why confine myself within the walls of the Four Directions courtyard when I have the chance to live for myself? The end. Extra chapter, Princess Baokong. Today, Father the Emperor specially permitted me to leave the palace for half a day. While wandering, I came upon a tailor's shop. Seeing the fresh styles of clothing inside, I couldn't resist trying some on. The fitting room even had tea and snacks prepared. Thirsty from browsing, I took a few sips of tea. From the next room came two women's voices, quite noisy. They seemed to be discussing the family of that foolish young man surnamed He who serves beside fifth brother. Their family is wealthy, the whole capital knows it. I sent my maid to scold them. But after they left, I heard something shatter. Through the gauze window, I saw an angry woman storm out. Soon after, a young woman followed, pleading, "Mother, don't take it to heart." Those two must be the elder sister and mother of the young man from the He family. And next door is the Chi family, who are betrothed to the young man from the He family. They are all people close to fifth brother, and I happen to know them all. When I have nothing to do, I go to fifth brother's residence to wander about, and I always run into the young man from the He family. I keep wondering how he would react if he knew what his betrothed was saying behind his back. Perhaps my prying gaze was too intense, for whenever our eyes met, I'd awkwardly look away. That must have been rather rude, right? As I left the palace again, a beggar darted out and snatched the pouch from Qiuju's hand, the only pouch I'd brought containing silver notes. How dare this thief! The rascal wouldn't hand over the purse, so I slammed my whip on the ground in fury, making it crack loudly. In the end, Qiuju, holding back her disgust, stripped him of his clothes and found the stolen purse. The onlookers around us started chattering, saying I was ill-mannered. I was raised with proper manners from childhood. They're just gossiping women, not worth my time. My rescue came unexpectedly. It was the mother of that He boy. What a wonderful coincidence! As I left, a heavily pregnant woman blocked my path, saying she wished to make my acquaintance. Me, a princess? She thinks she can just befriend me? I rolled my eyes and ignored her. I found myself increasingly drawn to that He family lad. When I mentioned it to fifth brother, he declared I was experiencing spring fever. This princess experiencing spring fever? What utter nonsense! The eldest He daughter is quite lovely too, always calm and composed in any situation. I grew fond of her and often slipped out of the palace to visit her. This year's drought was severe. Father Emperor, already frail, grew even thinner, and my heart ached for him. Mother Empress organized a fundraising drive. Those consorts who normally spend 100 taels of silver on a single box of rouge donated only 5 taels each. It made my heart ache with indignation. When Sister He found out, she told me not to fret. Half a day later, she handed me a banknote for 150,000 taels, saying it was her donation. After our son's 100-day celebration, Sister He set out again, accompanied by servants and a fortune. She declared the land vast and intended to traverse it in her remaining years. To see the mountains and rivers our soldiers fought so fiercely to protect. To witness the people living in peace and contentment, happy and fulfilled. Extra Chapter 2, The He family ancestor. I had come to the mortal realm to observe how my He family had prospered. Little did I know something was stealing the good fortune my He clan had painstakingly cultivated over the years. The first to die was my own obedient great-granddaughter. This won't do. I'll send her 2 dreams as a warning. She mustn't fall prey to that thing. The He family flourishes, its incense burning ever brighter. All these imperial edicts, even this old man grows weary of them. This is as it should be. The more good deeds our descendants perform, the more comfortably we can live. The end.